Hi guys, this is Carrie from The Creative Accent. Today I'm going to show you how to embed a Flowdesk opt-in form on your website. And to do that I'm going to be using my new website template built for Showit, Alice and Vine. First off, I want to show you how I'm actually using the embed form. So if we scroll all the way down on the home page, you'll see here at the bottom I have a special canvas for your newsletter sign up, for your lead magnet. And what I'm going to do today is show you how this is all built on the back end so that you can recreate it for your own website. If you don't already have a Flowdesk subscription, you can get 50% off by using my affiliate link, which you'll find in the description. Okay, now that we're inside Flowdesk, what you'll want to do is go to Forms and then create a new form. Now it's going to give you a lot of different options. You can choose a pop-up, you can choose an inline form, or a full page. And for this example, we're going to choose inline. Now I'm going to take one that doesn't have a photo, so I'm just going to stick with this first one. And then it's going to prompt me to choose a segment. So this just means that when someone signs up for your newsletter or for your opt-in, you can put them into a certain segment so that you can build a nurture sequence around that. So here you can create a new one, or you can choose one that you already have and then just click Save. Okay, now we're ready to start customizing our form. And this is where you're going to change the font style, the colors, and get this to match your brand. For this example, I'm going to have this match the Alice and Vine website template. Now, first off, I'm going to delete this first text. You can obviously customize this, but I actually add this inside of Showit. So I'm just going to take this out because I'm really interested in just the form. Now this is just preference and this is how I've set it up with Alice and Vine, but you can make that choice for yourself if you want to customize that or not. I'll give you a quick example of why I choose to only customize the form. So if I go back to the home page, you'll see that I have some text here above. This is actually part of Showit. So this is text that I have put together inside of Showit. And I'm only using the form here below. So all the other text and the images around, that's inside of Showit. And if I skip over to the blog, let's go all the way down. I also have the same inline form here. Now obviously if you're having different nurture sequences, if you have one for your opt-in, if you have one for your general newsletter, you want to have two separate forms. But for the example in this template, I'm just using the same form, and here I'm able to then use different texts around it. So that just depends on your email marketing model, if you need multiple forms or not. But I just wanted to make that distinction that you can customize the text around it inside of Showit and only use the form. Okay, now that we've come back to Flowdesk, let's customize this form. First off, I only want to have the first name and the email address. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click in this box, and then I can see the different fields. And if I click here, I have the option to delete this. Now you can add you can add the last name back, you can add a custom field, but in general, I think the first name and the email address is sufficient. Now if I click on the first name, I can make that part required if I want to. And then I'm going to go over to the next tab, which is font. And here I'm going to customize this to match my brand, which in this case is going to match the Alice and Vine template. But if you're using different fonts, if you're using different colors, this is where you want to plug that in. So I believe I'm using Brandon Grotesque here. I want to make that a little bit larger. Let's go to 16. And I'm going to change the color. Now let's just skip over to Showit, and if I go to my design settings, here is where you'll find all the colors and all the typography stylings that are used in this template. Obviously one of the first things you're going to do if you're using this template is to customize your own colors and typography that's going to match your brand. Here I'm just going to click on the color, and I'm going to take this code. I'm going to hit Command C to copy it, and then I'm going to go back to Flowdesk and I'm going to change the color right here. Now, I believe that's going to update automatically for the email form as well. Yes. Okay, great. Now, there are a few other design settings that you could look at. For one is the spacing. So if I click spacing, I can adjust the line height, which just means how tall are my buttons going to be. And I believe this one is set to 18. I can also adjust the letter spacing. So if I want more spacing between the letters, I'll just bump that up. But this one is set to 0.1. And if I switch over here to the third tab, Style, this is where I can style my buttons, which is really characteristic of the Allison Vine template. So I can choose to have them rounded here with a border, or rounded with a solid color and a border. And I believe this is what I'm using. So I'm going to take white as my fill color, and actually no color on the border. So I'm going to take that off. So just for simplicity's sake, if you want to, you can just have email here, which is what I've done in this template. So I'm just going to change that to email. Now we're going to customize the button. So if I double click, I can change the text. Let's change that to sign me up, but this could be download now or subscribe or whatever makes sense. And I'm going to change the button style, obviously, of this one as well. So I'm going to take the rounded button and no border. Now I want this one to have that minty color, so let's go back and to show it. Here are my design settings. I click on this color, and now I'm going to grab this code, and that's the one that I want. Let's go back to Flowdesk, and here, I think that was the border. Yes, no border. And then under the fill color, that's where I want to put in this new code. Okay, that looks good, but we still need to customize the text. Believe that was also here. I'm going to go under font, and I believe that was also Brandon Grotesque, but then in all caps. Now I want to adjust the spacing. It feels a little bit too tight, so let's adjust that spacing. Take that to 18 to match the other one, and I'm going to bump up the spacing between the letters a bit. Let's go to 1.8. That feels better. Now I want that button to pop a little more, so I'm going to change that. Let's go to the font tab. I'm going to change that to medium weight. That's going to make that pop more. Now let's customize the button a little further because it feels too small still. The border thickness, I think that's fine, but if I click here on button sizing, I can make some adjustments. And I want to make this quite a bit wider, so I can just adjust that here. Let's keep going. I think that looks better to 75. But you can make that wider, taller, whatever is going to make sense for your brand and your brand style. I think that looks good. I might take the height down just a bit. You can adjust that here. Now, another thing that you want to consider is if you click away from these buttons and just outside of the canvas, you'll see that you can change the canvas color, and it's currently set to white. And because I'm going to be making all my edits in Showit in terms of the design around the form, I'm just going to take out all those colors and change that to no color. So now you can see it's just the form, and all the colors around it will be implemented inside of Showit. So I do want to make these a little bit wider still to match the button. So I'm going to click on the button. I'm going to go to, I believe this is under Style and Field Sizing. Here I can adjust the padding. So I'm going to bump that up a bit. Again, personal preference, whatever makes sense for your brand, but I'm going to take that up to, yeah, let's say 44. 45 is good. Okay, we're almost ready to embed this form. I just want to make a few final remarks. When you've clicked on a button, you'll see options to customize that specific button or aspect of the form. Now, when you click away, you see when nothing is selected, you see these other options to customize. For example, the background color, which we already did. And you'll also see a message tab. Now, this is just going to be a confirmation message that your subscriber will receive as soon as they hit submit. Now, you can change this to one of the options that Flowdesk provides, or all the way at the bottom, you'll see the option to write your own custom message here. Okay, now that we've customized the form and our confirmation message, we can hit next. And we're going to have a few other things to customize. And the first thing is whether or not we're going to enable the double opt-in. Now, if you choose yes, that just means that before a subscriber is added to your email list, that they receive a separate email that indicates, do you want to be added to the list? And they have to, again, select yes. Now, in general, it's recommended, obviously you see it here, recommended for conversion, no. But it might depend upon your country's individual laws around privacy, so you may be required to enable the double opt-in. That's something you'll just have to figure out for yourself depending on where you are and the laws that you have. I'm going to continue, and now you can have the option to be notified or not to be notified when you get a new subscriber. I think it's fun to be notified when you get a new subscriber, but if you're at the point where you're getting hundreds of subscribers a day, you might want to not enable that option. Continue. So after the form is submitted, you can choose to display the success message that you customized, or you can choose to redirect them to a URL here. If you have a specific page that you want to send everybody to when they have signed up for your opt-in or your newsletter, then you would change that here. And continue. Now we come to the last page, which is Publish Your Form, and it gives us two different codes. We're going to discuss where you need to put those codes into Showit in order to embed this form. The first code that we have is the header code. Now if I copy that, I'm going to go over to Showit. Now I'm on the home page and I have the header canvas selected. So as I click here, I select the different canvases that are part of this template. But what I want to do is click on the name of the page itself so that none of the individual canvases are selected. And over on the right, that's where I'm going to see the advanced settings and the custom head HTML. Now you can see on my home page, I already have this code for the form that you see in the example. But basically you would just click here and that's where you would add this code. Now I have duplicated the About page and removed the one that I had there by default, so I can just walk you through this example step by step. So now I'm on my duplicate About page, and let's say I want to add an opt-in or a sign up on this page. So here I go under the advanced settings. I click, and this is where I'm going to paste that header code. And I hit save. Okay, now I need to have a place where I'm going to build out this sign up. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go into the page here, and I'm going to add a blank canvas. That will show here on the bottom. Let's double click and rename that sign up. Now, by default, it's going to come at the bottom of the page, but let's say I want to add that just above the footer. That's good. Now, I can adjust the background color, and in the case of my example, I'm using my darkest color here, and I'm just quickly going to add a little bit of text, some title text. Now, by default, that's in the dark green, so I want to change that because I'm using it on the background here. Oof. Let me just zoom out a bit so I can, see where I'm at a little bit better. Your title here. Now, one thing to mention quickly is that under the text properties, Whenever you add a title text, it will give you an H1 tag by default, but generally you only want to have one H1 tag per page. So assuming you're already using that, you will want to change this to an H2. That's just a little side note. Let's add some paragraph text. Again, this is normally green by default in my settings, but because it's on the dark background, I'm going to change it to a light color. Add your text here. And then if you want to center that, you can do that over here under Align. Okay, so now we want to add in our form. And what we're going to do is we're just going to go down here to the middle icon and choose Embed Code. And that's going to give us this box that's going to pop up. And I'm just going to stretch this across the canvas. Now, let's go back to Flowdesk. And this is the second code, the inline code. Let's copy that. That's the one that we want to put into the embed frame that we've just made. So you can go over here to the right and click Embed Info and add the code here. Or if you want, you can just simply double click and the same box will pop open and you just hit Command V and that will paste that code in there. Now, sometimes it shows in the preview and sometimes it doesn't. It kind of annoys me when it doesn't. But we can click over here and go to preview. Now I'm not going to adjust the mobile right now, but in general, be aware that when you add a new canvas and you're making changes, then you'll want to come over here to the mobile version as well and adjust that as you go. But just for this example, just to show you how it works, I'm only going to focus on the desktop. Okay, so I've added in the code and I'm going to hit preview. Let's see what that's going to look like. Okay, I've added this all the way at the bottom, so let's scroll down. And there you have it. So there is your form. You can obviously adjust this text yourself, but there it is, embedded on your site. So without going into too much detail, I just want to talk a little bit about the next step. So you've built your form, you have a segment, and you have embedded that on your website. So the next thing you're going to want to do in your nurture sequence, this is done, so let's just go back, is to start a workflow. Now here you'll see this is the new form that we've created, and you also have a workflow tab. When I click that, what you'll want to do is build out a new workflow. Now you can choose from the options that they provide. I usually build this out from scratch, but this is just personal preference. But if you go from scratch, you'll give it you'll give your workflow a name. Let's just call it test. You'll hit save. And now you'll need to set a trigger. So what will your trigger be? Your trigger will be whenever someone signs up for your form, and they'll be automatically put into that segment that we chose at the beginning. So the trigger, if I click, will be a subscriber is added to the segment, and then I choose the segment here. So I'll say the testing email, and then we want something to happen after that. We want to deliver our lead magnet, or we want to send a welcome email. And what you're going to do is just go down here to this plus sign. And when I hit that, I can choose an email, a time delay, a condition, an action. So I'm going to choose an email. And here, I'm not going to build this out completely, but just to give you an idea of what you would do next, you can create a new email, you can duplicate an existing email, and then you would just build out, let's just create a new email. I'll just grab one of these for the example. I can customize it if I want to. For now, I just want to go back to our workflow, but here again, you would click into these individual elements and make your changes on the right. Let's just go back. Okay, so our email has been added. Let's say this is for a welcome sequence. Obviously, you're going to customize all these things, the fonts, the colors, to match your brand. But this would be our welcome email when they sign up for our newsletter. And then I would add, for example, you might add a time delay. So they sign up, they immediately get the welcome email, and then maybe I'm going to add a day. Let's say wait a certain amount of time. So wait a day, wait a week, whatever makes sense. And then you can already customize a second email. So you can build out as many emails as you want, adding the time delays in between for whatever suits your brand. So this is how you would build out a workflow and a nurture sequence behind the embed form that you just added to your website. I hope you found this tutorial helpful. The website design that I'm using in this example is a template that's available in my shop. You'll find a link in the description below, as well as the opportunity to try out the demo version for yourself. Wishing you a lovely day. Thanks so much.